Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now I am here vibing with Butch. Butch, welcome to the platform.
Respect, Rafa. Good to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Bless up all the viewers and subscribers, man.
Yes, Butch. You're here to tell your story, so we're gonna jump straight into it. So we
Yeah,
know you
man.
as Butch, but what is your given name?
Given name, Ahkeim Forbes, you know?
Okay,
Ahkeim
and
Forbes.
in terms of where you were born and grew up, tell us about that.
Okay, so I was born in Miami, Florida. Grew up mostly in Jamaica. You know? Parents are Jamaican, but I grew up mostly in Jamaica. Attended schools, primary and secondary schooling was in Jamaica.
Okay. So pretty much, we're in Jamaica specifically though.
Black River, Jamaica. Black
Black
River,
River,
Jamaica.
okay.
St. Elizabeth.
And from there, you attended what? Black River Primary?
Black River Primary and Infant School. Then I matriculated into high school, Munro College.
Okay. So, so in terms of, we normally talk a bit of football, so we normally try to link the story, in terms of your your football prowess. So, went to primary school in Black River. Was that the point at which you started playing the game, so to speak?
Actually, the game started playing a long time before that because I can remember even younger than that, my brother, who was the original football star of the family, he was the one who I was looking up to. He was my mentor in the soccer world, football world. So he was my mentor. So as young as I can remember, he used to tell me stories of when I was even 2 years old. And he'd take me to
Okay.
the soccer field and we'd play soccer and so on. And he'd give me little pointers, hey, don't kick the ball with your toe. Use the side of your foot. It started from an early, tender age.
Okay, I see. So, you mentioned your brother. Is there any other siblings that, from
No, just my brother. Just my brother.
Oh, so your brother is your only sibling.
Right.
Okay, all right. So pretty much you started out early on, then you progressed to primary school, Black River Primary, and then on to Munro College. So
Which is
tell us
right.
about that transition now, how was it, entering into Munro College as a youngster and, making that transition from the primary to the secondary?
Ah, the transition was not easy, but in order for me to properly elaborate on the transition, I want to go back a little bit to primary school
Okay.
because I never started playing football competitively until my last year of primary school, but I'd play recreationally. So every Friday I'd get that based on my performance in school in the week, my mom would give me the opportunity to either bring a cricket bat and a ball or a football to school on Fridays. And the grade six guys, they used to take my ball and play. So they used to say, hey, it's your ball, so you can play, but you gotta go in the goal. And that was the only place they'd allow me to play in the goal. And that's
Oh.
where everything started.
Yeah, I'm I'm now seeing the connection because that was gonna be one of my questions, in terms of your
Yeah,
position on the field. We know you as a top goalkeeper. So I was gonna
yeah,
ask, where did that come from? Oftentimes as youngsters, no one wants to play in the goal, but you
right,
have really made it your own, so to speak.
right. Initially, I was forced into that spot on the field by two young men at the time, Tajay and Odain. They were in grade six and I was in grade four. And they used to look out for me and they say, yo, come play, but you gotta play in the goal. So those two guys are the real original orchestrators of me being in the goal, even by
Oh.
force.
Okay, so all right. So now you're on to high school and you're at Munro. How did things progress from a football point of view at Munro?
At Munro. So we left grade six. We played competitively for a year in grade six.
Right.
My mom didn't know I was playing soccer actually until the last bit of it. But matriculated to Munro College now, where initially I wasn't supposed to play soccer. And again, it was recreational how I got picked up and got inducted into the soccer tradition at Munro College. So we were
Oh,
outside playing scrimmage soccer and I was in the goal. And I remember the name of the youngsters, Amin Miller, Shanavan De Souza. Those are the guys that initially saw my performance recreationally and invited me to an under 14 trial that was coming up the following week.
Right, right. So at this point, you're pretty much in first farm.
First farm. Yep.
Okay,
10, 11 years old at this time.
right.
So yeah, they invited me to a soccer tryout, and I was not up for it at the time because my mindset is like, hey, I'm in high school, a well established high school. I need to ensure I focus on my academics.
Okay. Oh, so you were
So
more keen for the academics and not necessarily for the sports itself.
initially, I definitely was. I had no intentions of playing football at that point in time
Okay,
on a competitive level.
right, right. So, but something would have shifted then. So, what is it that changed that led you into actually now getting involved and actually playing?
Right. So as I mentioned, those young men, they invited me to a soccer trial. And even then I was still reluctant to go in. And this is where we introduced the legendary Mr. Cole to the picture. Mr.
Okay,
Cole at the time was my PE teacher.
right.
And physical education, we play a variety of sports, including football. So Mr. Cole eventually said, hey, I think you should come and try out for the under 14 team, which I did go and try out eventually.
Oh, so during your PE session, you were
Right.
playing as a goalkeeper.
Yes, man.
Oh, and then Mr. School spotted the talent and say, hey, go for the under 14 trial.
Definitely, because Mr. Cole does have a eye for talent, even at such a young age. Yes,
Oh,
man.
so tell us about that trial. How did that go?
Under 14 trial. I mean, initially I wasn't taking it serious. I mean, I just went there with the notion, hey, I'm going to play some soccer and I'm just going to have fun. At the end of the day, I think that is what really sparked a real fire, a real passion for the sport. The fact that every time I go and play the sport, I'm just out there having fun, you know? And it was intimidating at first because they had older guys, more technical guys, more tactical guys, guys that understood the game way better than I did at that point in time. And I was here competing with them. And as a goalkeeper, there was another senior goalkeeper there that I had to compete with, so to speak.
Okay. Okay, so fast forward, you made the team.
Definitely made the team. Definitely made the team. And much respect to Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole was the first coach to put a pair of gloves in my hand.
Okay. Oh,
Definitely.
so pretty much things progress forward then after representing the school at the under 14 level.
Yeah, but it wasn't always peachy, because my first year under 14, I sat on the bench for the whole season.
Oh.
Yeah, man, I sat on the bench the whole season my first year.
Okay, that means
But
you were fresh off the block, still learning your trade at that stage, still,
still learning the
getting
trade.
some experience, that sort of thing.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of raw talent there, but the talent needed to be groomed properly.
Right, right,
You know,
right, right.
so I think that first year it was really an eye opener to me to say, hey, this is how the program is run. This is what is expected. This is how we go about doing things. So I
Oh,
really took that year and observed from the bench, after that year, I said to myself, I recall the last match of the season, we did win the rural championship and we went to All Island and we played against a team in Kingston. And we lost 6-0 in that final in Kingston. And I said to myself, this is the first and the last time I will sit on this bench.
mm,
Because in my head, I'm not making my best impact. I'm giving my team my best if I'm on the bench. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure that next season I'm out there.
okay. So fast forward for us then. So you eventually got into the under 14 team and did fairly
Definitely.
well at that stage.
Right. And then the second year, this was me in second form. I eventually went on to captain the under 14 team, led by Mr. Cole as well. Again.
Okay. And I'm sure so how successful were you at that point in time, being the new
At that
number
point,
one at this stage?
definitely the number one at this stage. And I'll elaborate more on the number one because Yeah, so number one at this point in time. We did go to the final. I think we played the Rossies in the final and we lost 3-0 at Stitz, St. Elizabeth Technical High School at that point in time. That was my second year of high school, yeah. And
Okay.
then lesson learned, you know. And then the following year, third form, I went back to the under 14 trial because I was of the age. I was still 13 years old at this time. I went
Right.
back to the under 14 level. And I was surprised at the time because when I went to try out, Mr. Cole said, no, no, no. You're going to the other side of the field, which is where the under 16 young men try out and train. So I was surprised at that point in time, no more under 14 for me. And this is where I got introduced to the coach at that point in time, Mr. T. Yeah, man. Who was also one of my course teachers at the time. Yeah, man.
Okay. All right. So tell us about that journey. You know, you're in third farm now and you're playing under 16. Tell us about your under 16 journey and then transition us into D Cup.
Definitely. So the under 16 journey now, it was intimidating at first, but little did I know that, hey, these coaches definitely see something in me that I didn't see in myself because I kept asking myself, why is it that a boy at this point in time, 13 years old, would be going to try out and going on to start at the under 16 level and start up amongst players that are a couple years older than I am? You understand? And even being the number one goalkeeper, it was intimidating at times because there were other good candidates there on the bench. And I kept wondering, why is it that I'm out here? You know what I mean? So it was intimidating at first, but the teammates and the coach at the time, they definitely played an integral part in helping me to become more comfortable, into helping me to become more um, decisive, decisive in things that I do as it relates to soccer. And the guidance that they bestowed on me really played a good role in my life and good role in my soccer career.
Okay. So that's
Yeah,
under
man.
16. You're now growing
And
in
that's it.
confidence, honing your skill
Yeah,
a bit more.
yeah, man. So definitely at the under 16 level, we did win the championship again. Yeah, the team led that year by Shanavan De Souza and Amin Miller and coached by Mr. T, the legendary Mr. T, who, yeah, man, Mr. T. I remember going to the final that day. It was in Montego Bay. It was a double header. I think there was a big Premier League match after our under 16 match, and I can remember the famous Mr. T give us a inspirational speech, and Mr. T said, "Yeah, man, when we go to Mobile, man, I don't want you guys to overexert yourself. It's hot there. Drink some water, relax, munch on a chocolate bar or something." Yeah, man. Mr. T would have some inspirational, motivational talks, and behind the scenes, we as teammates would take these talks and we joke about them, but at the end of the day, we knew it was serious business because this was our passion. This is what we're here for. This is what we came. This is what we came for. This is business for us, and we took it very seriously.
Okay. All right. So pretty much your under 16 journey culminated with, winning a trophy then, and then it was now
Definitely.
on to D Cup. So
And to
talk,
the cup.
yeah, so talk to us about D Cup now. You're transitioning under 14, under 16. Everyone, that's the big competition that everyone looks forward to. So
Definitely. So this is the cream of the crop of schoolboy football, right? This is the under 19 level, and matriculated onto fourth form, right? And at this point in time, I was about 14 years old. Now, 14 years old playing amongst the under 19 is no easy feat, right? Never,
mm,
needless to say, I was definitely on the bench, right? I still had a lot of stuff to learn. I was still eligible to play under 16, but because of my maturity in soccer, the coaches moved me up from the under 16 level and put me to the D Cup level where I had to learn to adjust and adapt to a higher acuity of soccer at that point in time. So yeah, I was on the bench. And at this point in time, I got stripped of the number one jersey and I started to wear a jersey with number 40 on the back. And I'll elaborate more on that. People that know me know that that is my jersey number.
mm.
And
Oh, so
I'd
you
like to
pretty
say
much
that
carried that jersey number on forward.
on forward, and I'll go on about it. And I wear that jersey number as a reminder are the humble beginnings where I was coming from in my soccer career.
Okay.
So yeah, so in fourth form playing D Cup at this time, the team was coached by Coach Neil Harrison, right? And captained by Neil Harrison at the time as well. And yeah, so at the fourth form level was very intimidating playing amongst a lot of in my opinion, stars at the time like the Allen and the Chris Bells and the Neon Browns, um, Shorty, Egghead, a lot of Shavy, SpongeBob, a lot of reputable soccer players that passed through Munro College at the time.
Oh, so that was in your first year
My first year at the
at the
Costa
D
Cup,
Cup level. Okay.
this was about 2010.
Right, right. Oh,
This
so
was
pretty
about
much for that
2000.
first year, you occupied the bench predominantly.
Predominantly with the number 40, big 40 on the back. But I did get some game time still. Mr. Harrison did give me some game time. There was a game in Manchester actually. And the starting goalkeeper at the time was Light Time. Big up Light Time as well. And Light Time was injured. And it was a very critical, crucial match we had to play in over Brooks Park, I think, in
Brooks
Manchester.
Park, that's right.
Brooks Park in Manchester. And at the time, the youngsters at the team, which was myself and Neil Harrison at the time, started. And those two young men that really stood out in that game because Neil Harrison was the one that scored the winning goal that day. And myself made some critical saves. And I believe that is one of the games that really opened a lot of people's eyes to the talent and the potential of the youth in the Dacosta Cup team at that point in time.
So at that point then, you were now realizing your full potential and scope.
Partially, partially. Still in disbelief. Still in
Still in
disbelief.
disbelief at that point,
Still
your
in this,
first year in D Cup. All right, so what
still
happened
in
in the second
disbelief.
year?
The second year in D Cup now. All right. I remember this was 2011. I was in church one Sunday, and some names I'm going to leave out for confidentiality reasons. The management at the time called me when I was in church, and the management said to me, "Hey, Butch, are you going to be coming to D Cup camp this year? Camp is starting next week." I was like, "Of course, coach, I'll be there." And the manager said, "What number you want to wear?" I said, "Number 40, and that will be my number permanently." And from that day on, I was known as Butch 40, Butch 40, right? So at the time, the other goalkeeper I was competing with at the time was Tevin Tomlinson, aka Pichiri. Very, very talented goalkeeper. Very, very
Oh, did he
intimidating
get
for
the name
me.
because he was flying?
Definitely. Yeah, man. Pichiri was a very talented,
Mm,
very, very talented individual. And it was intimidating for me as well as a youngster to compete with him at the time.
right.
So, as you can pick up in my soccer career, I was always the younger one, looking up to the other, competing, and surprisingly, one way, shape, or form, being able to surpass expectations and standing out in the coach's eyes based off my performance.
Okay.
So that was my
So
that
how
was
did that season progress? Were you able to, were you the number one, so to speak, or were you still occupying the bench at that point?
so by the time the preseason had ended, I remember Pitcher had picked up a hip injury during that season because we camped at what was at the time Seba United, aka now it's
Right.
Mobi FC, Mobi United. So we did camp up there and where I met the likes of goalkeeper coach Laxley Reed, big up Laxley Reed as well. And Laxley Reed played a big part in my training at that point in time because he's the one that helped to sharpen my skills and open my eyes to certain things that I was not familiar with prior. And I believe Pitcher picked up the injury, and then that in itself propelled me forward, and that did put me into the number one spot. By the end of preseason, I was deemed the number one goalkeeper at that point in time. So
Okay.
no easy feat being at the age that I am, being the starting goalkeeper at Munro College. No easy
Got you.
feat.
Got you.
Yeah.
So that was your second year. So at this point now, you're what? You're in fifth form, transitioning to sixth form.
Correct. I'm in fifth form transition into sixth form at this point in time. And we did go through to the second round of the Costa Cup where, man, I think my high school has a spell on it, man, being stuck in the second round. So I hope that changes pretty soon. But yeah, so that was the second. We dropped out of the competition in the second round. Yeah,
Okay.
we played a match against Clarendon College in Clarendon and we lost 3-0.
I see, I see. All
Yeah.
right, so now you're the number one. So it means you would have carried this forward into what would have been your third year at the D Cup level,
Third year. This was lower six now. But
right?
before we get to there,
Okay.
my me matriculated into sixth form at Munro College was not a must because at the time I needed some subject areas where I didn't get at the time. I did maths and English in fourth form and I passed. And I was having difficulty passing chemistry. And the management at the time really played a big part in helping me to get into sixth form because results came out that summer. I was at D Cup camp. We're at Rossi's, and the results came out, and I was missing chemistry, and that was a very important subject that I needed to have. So got in contact with the sixth form coordinator at Munro College, and she said, "No, you won't be able to do sixth form without passing chemistry." And I tried to explain to the teacher at the time, "Hey, I'm a member of the Dakasta Cup team, and I need to be able to attend school and play
Right.
Dakasta Cup to support my team members." And the teacher said, "No." I was at a standstill, right? This is
Oh,
turmoil for me.
so this is while you're in camp.
This is while I'm in camp.
Mm,
While I'm in camp. So my whole career here at Munro College was about to come to a halt because I couldn't have chemistry. So I contacted my mom, who was a teacher at the Black River High School for over 30 years. Big up Black River High School. That's my second home.
okay.
And she let me know that, hey, Black River High School is going to register students for the upcoming school term. If Munro doesn't want to take you back, why not come to Black River? We can speak with the principal, and they will. At the time, they were willing to allow me to enter into sixth form, take classes, and take the CXC chemistry in January while
Mm.
playing the Costa Cup.
So this was a
So
critical juncture with a massive decision to make then.
massive decision to make. Unfortunately, I wasn't in total control of the situation
Mm,
at this point in time. So I remember actually packing my bags on that day, and I was leaving camp. And the guys thought I was joking, and I said, "Unfortunately, I have to leave because I can't get into sixth form here." Because as a lot of people know at the time, getting into sixth form at Munro College is not easy feat. Getting into Munro College itself is not easy feat. Munro is a well-established high school which has a lot of academic criteria that must be met and must be maintained, which is rightfully so. And if
oh,
a
so at
student
this
is not
point in
able
time,
to,
you were falling short of those requirements.
I would say so, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
so that's why that decision was made.
that decision was made. So at the time, I
Mm,
was walking down to the gate and I got a call from the manager at the time, still withholding the name.
okay.
The manager at the time, and then the manager said, "Butch, where are you?" I said, "Manager, I'm on the way down to the gate to get a taxi because I have to go and register at Black River High." The manager said, "Don't move from where you are, stay right there." And my phone rang again. My mom came on the line, and then he said, "Hold on," and then the chemistry teacher for sixth form at the time, who was Mr. Bonito White, rest in peace, came on. And the manager and my mom both spoke to Mr. White and said, and asked him if he was willing to accept me into his lower sixth form class, teach the chemistry while I do the sixth form at the CXC level. And Mr.
Okay.
White, without a doubt, said yes, of course, he was willing to work with. And then this is where also Miss Myers come into play. So big up Miss Myers because Miss Myers was the one, in my opinion, who helped me to pass chemistry at this point in time because Miss Myers was behind the scenes tutoring me chemistry after school hours, about 3 times a day. yeah, tutoring me chemistry at this point in time, behind the scenes, outside of chemistry at the L6 level. So big up Miss Miles for that.
Okay, so pretty much that solved the issue then. That one
Yeah, that's solved
conversation
it.
turned things.
It really did. It really did. And then there was more to it at the time, because the sixth form coordinator let me know that, hey, at the rate at which you're going, you'll never make it to college.
Mm.
And I was really moved by that statement at that
Oh,
point
that
in
gave you
time.
a wake-up call somewhat.
Like a science teacher, it was more of an insult to me,
Oh,
and I was determined. I was determined to prove her wrong.
okay,
I was
okay.
determined to prove her wrong,
So
and
that
then
acted as a motivational move then.
definitely, and also another person that played an integral part in this is Mrs. Bromfield. Rest in peace, Mrs. Bromfield. Because Mrs. Bromfield is the one that called the sixth form coordinator and said, hey, the student has to register for the upcoming semester and you need to register him. So he's going to come there and he's going to let you know what classes he's going to take. And pretty much she told the teacher that I have to register, which I thank God for that every day. So I was
Okay,
able to register for sixth form and we were able to progress into the season.
got you. So the academics was settled, and by settling the academics, it put you at ease, so you could then continue with representing the school at the Costa Cup level then. So,
At the
so in other
Dakota
words,
College.
then at sixth form, it had to really be a juggling act where you are balancing the academics along with playing football. Then, seeing that you were doing some extra subjects on the side, taking your
Mhm.
sixth form classes as per usual, and also playing the Costa Cup.
Definitely. It was no easy fleet and you had to be really dedicated because this is the thing. My mom, as I mentioned earlier, my mom was a high school teacher, and being the parent of a teacher, the teacher definitely wants to, the teacher aspect of her wants to make sure that, hey, everything is being done as it should be, and as a mother, she wants the best for her child. So
Right,
in my mom's theory, soccer was not important to her as it relates to, hey, you don't need to play soccer, you need your education.
right,
So
right,
it was a no-brainer for her.
right. Football was secondary from her point of view.
Definitely, I understandably so, but for me, that was a priority for me. So in order for me to be able to uphold my priority, I had to uphold, in my opinion, her priority at the
Right,
time,
right, which
which
was the
was soccer.
academics. So
Right.
you had to you had to keep her happy in order for you to continue your progress, playing
Definitely.
soccer,
And
so
at
to
the
speak.
time, definitely. And at the time, still young, even though in sixth form, was still not totally grasping the whole idea of, education is definitely important. It's definitely needed. You understand? At this
Right.
point in time, soccer was the priority. And that
Okay.
quickly changed after I passed my chemistry CXC. Again, big up Miss Myers. Yeah,
All right. So fast forward for us now. So that was pretty much lower six. You continued the
yeah,
journey, was the starting
yeah.
keeper. Transition us now into upper six. How did things progress to the upper six level?
So beautiful. So coming from lower six, Coach Andrew Edwards took over the head coach role when I was in lower six.
Oh, so
And
there
Coach
was a
Andrew
change
Edwards,
in the coaching ranks.
definitely, definitely, Coach Andrew Edwards took over, and he really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So big up Coach Andrew Edwards, and big up Dwayne Wilson, aka Brain, who was my personal goalkeeper coach.
Okay.
And them being those two individuals being my coaches. There were other coaches at the time, like Coach Teagat Davis, Coach Starkey, Coach and yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Coach Brain. Yeah. So those individuals really had a positive impact in my soccer career. And being coached by Brain, it was a new and fulfilling experience, because this is where my confidence as a player took off to a different level. I saw a different level of acuity, different level of intellect, different level of intelligence as it relates to soccer after Coach Wilson, aka Brain, and Coach Edwards took over my coaching at that point in
Oh,
time. So
so
yeah,
they definitely had a major impact on the mentality side of things to a large extent.
definitely, definitely. They instilled in me what I call now the championship mentality. Who am I? I am a champion. And that's a constant reminder that hey, you are important, you are a very integral part of this team. No, there's no I in team, but you hold a position on the team where it requires so much responsibility. You understand? Where if you don't play your position right, the whole team is going to break down. So it was a lot of responsibility on me
Mm.
as
So,
the vice captain at the time.
oh, you rose to a leadership position as well.
As the vice captain at the time, and the captain was Darren Duncan, aka Bama. Big up Bama.
Okay, so how were you able to handle such a vast responsibility, being not only the vice captain, but as you mentioned, an integral part in that of the goalkeeper?
Right. So I think it's very important to understand the ego. The ego of a man can either make a man or break a man. And the ego really had to be kept in check because if you don't keep it in check, it'll lead you astray and lead to self-destruction. You understand? So there's no iron team. So a lot of the senior players we came together, we made various different plans with the coach amongst ourselves as players. We outlined mistakes that were made in the past and we said going forward, we're making no excuses. Going forward, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to learn from these mistakes that we make and that each other make and that other teams make. And this is how we're going to be successful going forward.
Mm. All right, so pretty much now we are at the end of your journey, I would say, in terms of high school football. What was it next for Butch? Coming to the
If
end
I'm
of high school.
if I'm being honest, at that point in time, I did not know. Right. So
Mm.
during the season, that was my best season at Munro College, and
Okay.
we toured the island during preseason, and teams were scared of Munro College, right? And the names, different names of of players on the team in that year kept making waves around the island. Teammates such as Darren Bama Duncan, Yaya, Mark Parchment, Jordan Top, Dino, Levar Dunchi, Scarlett, a number of talented individuals, Ryan Williams, you understand?
Right, right,
Greg,
right.
a lot of Horace, Juki, a lot of talented individuals on the team that year. Machine Man.
Oh,
Yeah.
so how did the team perform, with such abundance of
Wow.
talent?
Wow. To this day I don't know how that team didn't progress because we played the first round. We came second in the first round. We went on to the second round. We played Manchester High, the second game in the second round. And that was a turning point in our quest to be the Costa Cup champions. We lost, what was it? We lost 1-0 to Manchester High at, at Kirkvine that day. And then the next game we played, I think it was Clarendon College, and we beat Clarendon College 1-0. But I think Manchester High went through on goal difference that year. Or they
Mm.
beat us by 1 point, unfortunately. And that was the unfortunate end of our quest to be the Costa Cup champions, but it was not the end of Butch's quest as it relates to soccer going forward. Because from earlier during the season, I had gotten an offer to go to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque for a goalkeeper position, which was declined due to various different reasons. One, them wanted me to be there immediately. And I wasn't able to leave my team at the time. I don't think I could have left my team at the time and
Okay, they
I went
wanted you
on.
to leave mid-season.
Definitely. No,
Oh,
no keep subjects. It was uncomfortable to say that, hey, I'm going to leave right now in the middle of the season. I
right,
I
right,
wasn't
right.
able to do that. So going forward, um, yeah, by the end of the Costa Cup season, I had gotten word that hey, you're being invited to represent the country at the time,
Okay, so
which
you progressed to the national level.
Definitely. And
Mm.
at
So
this point in
at
time, it
what
was
age group was this though? Was it the under 17?
actually, this was my second call up to the national team. I was called up to try out for the national team at around age 14 to represent the under 17 team, and I was there with the under 17 team for a while, and I got dropped off at the under 17 team right before they took off to Brazil to
Okay.
compete. Then the second call was after my last season at D Cup, where I said that, hey, this season at D Cup really put my name out there as a player, as an individual, really broadcasted Butch Forbes, so to speak, to the country and to different parts of the United States, as I was yet to learn at the time.
Mm.
So definitely played in the all schools team where we competed in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we did win the championship against Plantation that year, where I
Okay.
met the likes of Coach Valney Brown. I was introduced to Coach Valney Brown at the time. So yeah, that team had a number of talented individuals. Kesanya Hall, Moonman, you know, um, Cardell Benbow, Flemings, a lot of talented
Mm.
individuals at that point in time.
National representatives along with yourself as well.
Definitely. So we
Okay.
did compete in Fort Lauderdale and we did win. So that was November of 2013.
So what was next? Were you what was the plan? Having declined the offer from University of New Mexico,
Yeah.
what was the next move in terms of, your educational progress going forward?
So at this point in time, I was not 100% sure. So I then took it upon myself to make applications to local university, and I did apply to the University of West Indies. And my application was actually denied because I hadn't completed the application. They were requesting birth papers at the time, and I had forgotten to include my birth certificate in the application. So my application then was sent to file 13. It was declined. And then so that was the late December 2013. So fast forward to January of 2014.
Okay.
um Munro College usually hosts a series of recruiting opportunities where coaches from abroad and different parts of the world would come and recruit talented young men um, from the island of Jamaica. But the host location of this recruitment was at Munro College, was at home base.
Mm.
And I remember some of the members of my team came, they were like, yo, Butch, we need a goalkeeper. I said, I'm not really interested. Understand? And I really wasn't going to go. And I remember Yaya and Bama at the time, they really convinced me. I said, yo, come down to the field, man, and just play one game. And one game, Rafa, that one game changed my life forever going
Mm.
forward.
Well,
One game.
it means you need to elaborate on that one game, this game which changed your life forever. I mean, the viewers and
Yeah.
subscribers must be wondering what sort of game this was.
To me it was a regular game. There was nothing special about the game. But people who have a keen eye for talent, they're able to spot and pick up different things of different players that even players themselves and even me at the time did not realize. So here I was very nonchalant in the game as it relates to my goalkeeping skills. There was much action at the time, but historically speaking, in the game, but traditionally speaking, I know I've always been a good communicator of the game. I was able to always organize my defense to protect me.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's a big fault in a lot of goalkeepers, their inability to organize the players around them to help you as a goalkeeper, because you are the last line of defense, but you are the only person on the team, on the field, that's getting a wide and broad view of the game. So it's like a chess
Mm.
game, and you have to
Right.
ensure that all the pieces align to protect the king,
Right.
which is the
Right. Right.
goal. So you have to always be keen. So I believe, so I
So that
believe
means you need to be a good communicator then and a good organizer.
definitely, definitely, and I definitely was always outgoing. My personality is always outgoing, always comedic. But when it comes to soccer, very serious, very passionate, always communicating. And at the end of that game, I made one save in that game.
Right.
One save. And at the end of that game, Bud, who was a part of the auxiliary staff at Munro College at the time, came to me immediately after the game. And he said, Butch, yo, one of the coaches want to talk to you. I said, Coach, want to talk to me? And I went over, I nonchalantly went over, introduced myself. And this is where Coach Bill Ashby came into play at that point in time. And he said to me, how are you, Butch? I said, good evening, Coach. I'm well. How are you doing? He said, I'm well. My name is Bill Ashby. I'm here from the University of Maine in Fort Kent. How would you like to go to college and play soccer in the United States? And I said, man, that sounds like a good opportunity. Where is the University of Maine in Fort Kent? And he said to me, it's in Maine. And I said, yeah. But where in the United States is this place? Is it in Florida, New York? And he said, hey, Maine is a state. I said, what? So at that point in time, I definitely didn't know that Maine was a
Right.
state.
Yeah, it's not the usual place we hear Jamaicans going after, you know?
Definitely. And then he took my contact information.
Right.
He got my name, he got my email, he got my phone number, he got my mom's phone number.
Right.
And he wrote down my jersey number, I recall. And then he said, we'll be in contact. And I said, I don't know if this makes a difference at the time. And I said, Coach, I'm not the average international student. I'm actually a US citizen,
Right.
which I knowing that would make the transition much easier, not having to jump through some of the hoops that a non-citizen would have to.
Right.
And he looked at me and he smiled. He said, Butch, you're my new best friend. So, needless to say, I was excited about it at that point in time, but still reluctant. And during that same point in time, I was also in contact with another coach, Coach Oniki Samuels, who at the time was the head coach of Union College in Kentucky.
Okay.
And
Oh,
he
so
definitely
when did that contact come into play throughout?
about a couple weeks before me actually going down to the soccer field to play at that point in time. But
Got you.
and I remember we contacted each other, and he said to me, hey, I've been hearing a lot of good things about you as a goalkeeper. I've never seen you play, but I'm willing to offer you a verbal contract, but I just need to see you play. I need to see you play one time. And that was the one time he saw me play by the soccer field. And I did do some research at the time, and I realized that Union College was not the college for me because they didn't offer any academic careers that I was interested in at the time. At the time, I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Okay.
And they didn't offer any pharmaceutical courses at the time. So that offer for me, it didn't make sense because I wasn't going to take an offer to a university to study something I was not interested in. Waste of time, waste of money, in my opinion.
Yes, definitely.
So here I was again.
So that technically made the decision easier then.
Basic. Definitely. But even then, I still was not 100% sure that I wanted to go to the university. I mean, Fort Kent, because I knew nothing about this place. And time progressed. These couple weeks went by, and I saw a coach, one of our coaches by the name of Victor. And I know Victor attended Maine, and I saw him one morning. I said, Victor, hey, can you tell me about Maine? And about this coach, Bill Ashby, and he told me about Coach Bill Ashby, and he told me about the program. And I was impressed, and I said, can you give me the coach's number? Because as I said, at this point in time, I was not following up.
Right.
So he did give me back the coach's number, and I said I was going to contact the coach. Still never contacted the coach. Right? Still in upper six form, still don't know what's going to happen September morning. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right. Because that tournament would have taken place, what, in January or?
January.
In January,
yeah.
Right.
That was in January. And this was about April, coming up to
graduation
and Cape time. Right? When time is winding down. not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing what to do. So I started to focus on Cape, right? And I was like, man, I really don't know what to do. So I need to try and get these Cape subjects knocked out of the way to give myself a good cushion going forward. So still didn't contact the coach for the University of Maine Fort Kent. I really tried to hone in on my work academically, right? And then throughout the weeks and the months that went by, I kept getting some little signs that I didn't know were signs at the time. But looking back and reflecting, I kept seeing things popping up about men here, men here. I'm
Yeah,
watching TV and the most random thing come out. The plot of the story is in Maine. Uh, I'm on my phone and I get random updates about places in Maine. So I was like, I wasn't paying any mind to it. I wasn't even thinking about it. But looking back, when I really sit down and look back, I'm spiritual and I think God was giving me a sign. Hey, this is the way to go.
yeah, you are being pointed in that direction.
Right, right. So funny story now. One day I was on the dorm, right? At this point in time, upper sixth form, I was a prefect at the time, and I had a little cubicle to myself. And Dickinson House, big up Sports Dam, Dickinson House. So I got a phone call from the vice principal at the time, Mrs. Brumfield. And Mrs. Brumfield called me and said, Butch, no, she called me, no, sorry, the secretary called me and said, Ahkeim, kindly report to the vice principal's office immediately. And I was like, man, what did I or did I not do? So got dressed, went over to the vice principal's office, who was Mrs. Brumfield. I went into the office, I knocked on the door, stood, waited for her to let me know to sit. I stood with my hands behind my back, and Mrs. Brumfield, she was working on some documents on her table, and I remember this vividly. And she never said anything to me. She never acknowledged me or anything. She continued working on the documents, and about a minute and a half went by, and she closed all the documents and she moved them aside and she cleared the whole table. And she looked up at me and she said, Butch, sit down. So I sat. And at this time, I was nervous because to this point in time, I don't know why I'm here.
Right.
And she said to me, Butch, why is it that a coach from the University of Maine in Fort Kent is calling me to let me know that you have not yet applied to university there? I was flabbergasted. I was in awe because I did not know that this coach was still here waiting on me to contact him. I never took him serious at that point in time. I didn't know how important this move was in my life, in my career, until that point in time, where she
Right,
said to
right.
me, the coach is trying to contact me for you to come to college. I said, Mrs. Brumfield, what do you mean? The coach is trying to contact? She said, Butch, the coach called me. The coach told me that you have not yet applied. She said, listen to me. You're going to go back to wherever you're coming from, and you're going to submit your application today to the university. I mean, in Fort Kent. Today. And she also mentioned to me that the coach was going to call my mom to let my mom know that the application needs to be submitted ASAP.
Right.
And I was like, wow, never seen anything or experienced anything like that before. So yeah, Mrs. Brumfield roughed me up, so to speak.
Massive, massive moment, a massive turning point right there.
Definitely. Big up Miss Brumfield, rest in peace. So Mrs. Brumfield definitely played a part of my journey in multiple occasions as well. Because as I said, me being a part of the sixth form program at Munro College, Miss Brumfield had to sign off on that, and she
Right.
definitely did.
Some
But
very critical moments she was instrumental in.
definitely, Mrs. Brumfield. So I did do the application, and the application was sent off. And by this time, I was now in frequent communication with the coach here, the head coach at the University of Maine at Fort Kent. And not a lot of people can say, hey, they are in constant contact with the head coach of a program. Normally you get invitation by scouts and recruits and everything. But I was here in direct contact with the head coach, the big man himself at the program.
Okay.
So he really helped me to prepare for my matriculation from high school into college as it relates to soccer.
All right, so Butch,
Okay.
we are
Well,
now at the stage now where you're transitioning into college. Talk to us about that. How was that transition from now high school into a US university?
all right. Definitely was a totally new, eye-opening experience for me. So, as we know, we got the scholarship to go from high school to college to the University of Maine, Kent. And I also got an academic scholarship as well. So those two scholarships combined was what I was depending on to help me financially to go forward with college. So the coach gave me a date that he said, hey, try to be at the airport for this date, and that date was August 15, 2014. Yeah, so the coach said be at Bangor Airport in a place named Bangor, Maine on that day. So took a flight there,
Mhm.
landed safely, and the coach picked me up at the airport. And I remember the first day he picked me up at the airport. He drove off in the vehicle he picked me up in, and maybe like not even a mile from where he drove off, the coach stopped the van and he pulled over and he looked at me and said, hey, I didn't bring you here to sit on the bench. I brought you here because I want you to be a starter. But you're gonna have to
Okay.
work for it. It's not gonna come easy.
Right, right.
Yeah, man. And the minute he said that, I know that there's work to be done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
so going forward now into your college years, you're now a freshman, so to speak. And
freshman,
this was a
definitely.
four-year college.
For sure, 4 years.
Okay, so in
So
terms of the
yeah.
academics then, what is it that you were studying at the time?
Right. So initially, as I said before, I wanted to be a pharmacist, and that was my aspiration at the time. But getting into college after I got there now, I quickly realized that they don't have a pharmaceutical program at this institution. So I was at a little standstill for a while, even before the football came into play. This was a standstill for me because I was like, man, what area am I going to study? And like I
Right.
mentioned before, I don't think it's fit for me to pick up an area study, spend money on it, and it's not something I'm interested in. So was like, my supervisor at the time was like, why don't you try nursing? And I said, nursing. In my mind at the time, nursing is a all female job.
Right, right. Yeah,
So as I
usually in
said,
Jamaica, you hear nurses, you think female immediately.
definitely. So that in itself was very eye opening for me because I was like, oh, men can be nurses too. Because at that point in time, I was of the impression that it's only female.
Right,
So she's like, why don't you try nursing? I said, Mom, I don't know anything about nursing. And she said, that's okay. This is why we have the program for you to go, for you to learn new stuff. So I went and I tried the first nursing class. I was one of, there was like 23 of us in the class, and I was one of three males in the class. And I tried the class and I did the class. Luckily to say, surprisingly for me, I did like it, and I just never looked back. I just continued doing nursing until I just finished with nursing. At the end of the day, I have my Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. So
okay, okay. Impressive stuff there, Uh,
yeah.
and not the career you had in mind, but definitely
No,
in hindsight, it seemed to have been a very good decision.
definitely.
All right, so walk us through your playing years now at the university, your first year, second year.
First and second year.
Yeah, how was that experience as a international
Man,
student, so to speak?
man, as an international student, I wish
Right.
most times I wish I could have one more season just so I could do it all again. Just so I could do it all again. Because, especially that first season, it's a big learning curve, and it's a big adjustment from what you're used to. Now, I remember we started preseason August of 2014, and the day before we had a meeting, the coach distributed training gears. I
Right.
knew this is all new for me. I wasn't used to getting training gears. They make sure you wear this to training and so on and so forth. I got my training gears. I got gloves for training. I have match gloves. I have training boots, match boots, different. It was totally new for me, right? Flabbergasted. I was in awe. A good thing. It's a good thing. I was in awe. So I was like, whoa, I've never been in something so uniformed, So training start, and coach is like, okay, training at 6 in the morning. I report to training, you sign in, your gears up, and we're out there. rigorous training. And now by this time I had my own goalkeeper coach, and there was another goalkeeper there who was here before me. So he was the previous number one.
Right.
But those who know me know Butch Forbes now sick of mediocrity. You understand? Uh, as I said before, I didn't go there with the intention of sitting on the bench. And from years before, I said to myself that, hey, I'm not going to be able to give the team my best if I'm on the bench. That's just my philosophy and my perspective, right? So in my mind, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do everything that I need to do to ensure that at the end of the day, I'm this team's number one. Because in my head, this team is going to benefit more from me being out there than me being on the bench. So yeah, so the coach said, okay, training's at 6 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, and 5 at night. I'm like, whoa, you mean we train 3 times a day? He's like, yeah, 3 times a day. I was like, yo, this is serious business. Serious business. And everything is scheduled, everything is a routine, everything is uniform, everything is timely. You train in the morning, boom, you hit the showers, boom, breakfast, boom, you get a rest. You're back at it again, 12 midday, lunch after, showers again, boom. You eat a little snack after lunch, train again in the evening, right?
Right.
But it's all uniform. Everything is timetabled out, and you have to be on time, and there are always consequences when you're not on time. So punctuality and discipline was a very, very important factor in this new step
Right.
of football. And the people you come in contact with, the diversity of the players, is something you can definitely learn from. Because now I'm moving from a place where it's dominantly English and patois that is spoken on a daily and regular basis, right? To an institution where there are different guys from all over the world. And when I say all over the world, I mean obviously we have Jamaica, Trinidad, South Africa, Mexico, England, Scotland, all over the
A
world.
rich
And these guys
diversity of
are
mix.
rich diversity, and these guys aren't any mediocre soccer players. These
Mm,
guys are technical, tactical, intelligent soccer players. Yeah,
right,
because
right.
University I mean competes at the in the USCAA Division One level. Anybody
Okay,
know that
so
you know
so
about soccer
that's the top level when it comes to collegiate football.
in that division, definitely, definitely. Yeah, man. So it's a
So
very
it's possible then that quite a few players from Maine may have gone on to become professional players.
yeah. Some in the past there have been occasions where players have come to Maine and they've gone on to go professional, or they have used Maine as a stepping stool in a way to matriculate to something else.
I see, I see. So Butch, in your estimation though, having spent 3 years pretty much away from Jamaica in a foreign country, so to speak, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome during your time at Maine?
For me, the biggest challenge I would say was the weather.
Okay.
Was the weather because for those who don't know, the University of Maine in Fort Ken is situated at the top of the state of Maine, which borders Canada.
Mm.
Right? So I was sitting in my living room, and 700 feet down the road is the bridge. You can actually drive or walk over to Canada.
Oh,
So
interesting stuff there.
the temperature gets rugged, and I say rugged meaning like we go from in the summer we can range from even the 90 degrees Fahrenheit to in the winter time as cold as -20, -25 degrees
Mm,
Fahrenheit, and that's that's freezing cold, man. So the biggest thing for me was the adaptation to the weather in the new environment on a whole. You understand?
okay.
So as it relates to the soccer aspect of it now,
Yes.
freshman year we did a lot of travel. All the years we there we travel a lot, and we mostly drove. So I've been on every state in the immediate East Coast through soccer
Mm,
by driving. We played in almost every state in the immediate East Coast of the United States. And
okay.
it really teaches you a lot. And even we've driven into Canada numerous amount of times to play college teams in Canada. So the first year, um, I was, as I said, I was one or two goalkeepers on the team that year.
Right.
So how it worked at that point in time, I played every game, but only played half the game
Okay.
time. So what the coach tried to do was try to fit us in half by half. to see which goalkeeper works best with the team. And let me tell you, it was no easy flip because this guy was really talented, real tall, competitive. He had all the qualities of a very, very good goalkeeper.
Oh,
Understand?
what nationality was he?
He's Scottish. He's Scottish.
Oh, Scottish. Got you. Got you.
Yeah, man. He was Scottish, but real cool guy, real intelligent, real smart. Actually, right now he's actually I think he's a Division One goalkeeper coach at the moment.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but it
So
was no.
yeah, go. So in terms of the results though, in terms of the results aspect, how well did the team perform in
So
your
throughout that
first year?
my first year throughout the season, I think our record was 22-0-1, 22 wins, no ties, and one loss.
Oh,
And that
okay.
one loss was in the final against West Virginia Tech, where we lost. We lost 2-0 in the final to West
Mm,
Virginia Tech in West Virginia at the time.
okay. So
But
so pretty much during your first year then you were sharing the goalkeeping responsibilities.
definitely, definitely. So it was half and half, but I did play every game. But you know, you pick up little tricks along the way, and you talk to different players of the team, and you get to familiarize yourself with different people, and you get to see how people play, how they react to certain things, and that is how you learn. And at the end of the day, that kind of gave me a small edge over the competing goalkeeper. So by the time we got to the playoffs, I was being selected as the starting goalkeeper because you have
Okay.
the regular season, and
Right,
based on
right.
your performance in the regular season, you have the national championship player. And this is
Oh,
the creme de la creme.
okay. So by the end of your first year, you had risen to become the outright number one.
Yes, indeed, indeed,
Okay.
indeed.
So
At
so
this
so
point in
how
time.
were you how difficult or challenging was it to be balancing the academics along with your football pursuits?
Yeah, man, it definitely wasn't easy. And as I said, this first year, especially this first semester, it was a big learning curve because little did I know about the grading system here, right?
Right.
So sometimes, understand certain things and it's just because of ignorance and your inability just to go and work out little things or go find out extra information. It put you at a deficit. So by the end of my first semester, my GPA was below par.
Mm,
Actually, it was below par, and I even got threatened to have my academic scholarship taken away because I wasn't meeting the academic criteria at the end of the first semester, which is the soccer
okay.
semester. So
Right.
going into my second semester, no soccer, plans were put in place for me to take additional classes to bring up my GPA to make me eligible to play the next season, which it did happen. Which it did
Okay.
happen.
Okay. Got
So
you.
soccer wise, at the end of the first season, um, I was USCA Division One run out. So we came second that year. We were
Hmm.
second place team to West Virginia. So second year now, 2015,
Yes.
GPA up to par. I now have a
Right.
better understanding of how the academic should be run.
Yes,
Right?
you're now more familiar with things and the running,
Indeed.
so to speak. So
Indeed.
it should be an
Indeed.
easier step forward technically with the familiarity now.
With the familiarity, yes. So now what I did, most of my classes that I was able to take online, I take them online as it gives me an ability to travel with the team more fluidly
Okay.
versus being having to be physically in class, which was one
Right.
of the main problems the first year.
Okay. Got you.
And
Got you.
then with the nursing program, for those who don't know, nursing is one of the most difficult degrees to attain here in the United States because of the rigid curriculum it entails and the exams and the tests and the assignments. It's very rigid and very rugged. So
Mm,
balancing nursing and soccer is no easy thing. And I tip my hat off to anybody who's able to balance it and successfully get through.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going into the second season now,
Yes.
high
Yes.
expectation, high expectation from
Right,
the coach
because the
because
team had
now,
finished second, so I'm sure you guys would
yeah,
be looking to make that extra step.
right. So before I even tell this aspect of the story, this is the season that really put Ahkeim Butch Forbes on the mount. here in this little town of Fort Kent. And this is the season that made it known that hey, this guy knows his stuff. This is the season that really that made people really know who I was, so to speak.
Okay. Well, tell
So
us about it. How did things progress?
definitely. So we started off the season pretty strong. We always started off the season pretty strong, but we got some injuries at the first part of the season, and those injuries really dampened morale, and they carried on right through the season. And this is where I commend my coach, Coach Bill Ashby. He has so much experience in coaching. He was able to manipulate the team and reorganize the team and put players in different positions that you're not used to them playing there, and he's able to get similar or even better results. And I really commend him for doing that because we had some players playing in some different positions, and I was like, what is this man doing? And then by the time it's game day and you're seeing the results and you're seeing what's happening, you're like, whoa, this man is a genius.
Okay.
So going into the second season, um, I was then deemed the number one goalkeeper at this point
Right,
in time.
right.
Yeah, big number 40, Butch is active. So yeah, we've been traveling. We go to places like Laval in Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Isles, Holland. We travel to places like Boston, Vermont, West Virginia, New York, um, uh, a lot of places on the immediate East Coast to play these games. And like by the time October came along, October the season finishes at the first part of November. By the time October came along, the week of October 16 that year, I was deemed goalkeeper of the week. So I was being recognized by the USCAA division as the most outstanding goalkeeper for that time frame in the week. So that was a
Okay.
big highlight. That was a big highlight for my career and for me as a person. And then at that point in time, I was also being ranked in the top five goalkeepers for the USCAA division at that point in time. So that really put a lot of respect on my name, so to speak, in the soccer aspect of things. So going forward, going further down into the season,
Yes.
we played. We had a very good streak that year. I think we had 20 wins, two ties, and I think one loss. And that one loss was against one of our rival teams, Brian and Stratton, which is based out of New York,
Hmm.
Syracuse, New York. Very competitive team with a number of Jamaicans and Scottish players. And let me tell you, Jamaicans and Scottish, they work well together, but opposing each other, it's a dog eat dog world out there. It's a dog eat
Competitive
dog.
sport.
That very competitive. That was one of few games that really reminded me of Premier League football game here in Jamaica.
Mm,
Very competitive, very physical, very quick pace.
right,
And
right.
that is one thing that we get to adjust to here. And another thing we had to adjust to was playing on turf. In
Okay.
Jamaica, we used to play on natural grass.
Right, right. This time it
Up
was
here, it's more
artificial grass.
artificial grass. So the ball, especially when the turf is damp, the ball moves quick. So your touch, your control has to be keen. The way you catch the ball, the technique has to be clean. You
Mm,
understand? You have minimal room for error, and everything is a quick pace, quick pace, quick pace. You're thinking, you're moving, your agility has to be quick. You gotta be seeing the plays two, three, four plays ahead of the time before the actual play is made.
okay.
So luckily for me and lucky for my team, I was blessed with the ability to communicate well and effectively, which always gave me a cutting edge over my competitors. And that is also intimidating to the other team to have someone being able to dictate the game the
Right,
way
right.
I do. Because when I go there to play, I'm very authoritative. And I make it known that hey, I'm here and I know what I'm doing. And that is intimidating to others. But we did lose to Brian and Stratton in New York. A 1-0 game in the like 89th minute.
Okay.
Yeah, man, we lost to Brian and Stratton that year. Man. That was a hot one. So as time progressed, we eventually went on to the national championship. We were deemed number two going into the national championship. Our first game, I think we won 6-0 at the playoffs. And then our semi-final game, we were actually down 2-0 in the first half by a mistake by yours truly, actually. Yours truly, yeah, made a mistake in the second half. No, in the first half, sorry, and the team was up 2-0, and coach gave us a roughing up at halftime.
Right,
And then
right.
we turned that game around, and we actually won that game 9-2. So we scored, then we scored again. We scored a third goal that broke morale of the other team, and I think after that, Florida National just let go, and we
Oh,
ran them over after that. And then my coach, he knew I was down. He knew I was beating myself up for that one mistake, and he pulled me aside the eve of that game. After the game was done, after the dust cooled down, and coach looked at me and he said, "Butch, I'm going to tell you one thing, all right?" He said, he said, "It's not about how." Wait, I'll try to get the words right. He said, "It's not about man." I forgot it, but I remember. I forgot it. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know. He said, "It's not what you do when you lose. It's what you do after you lose that shows the true character of the person."
okay.
And when he said that with me, it really resonated with me because he's technically saying, "Hey, you made a mistake. The mistake is done, gone already. Are you gonna let this mistake affect everything you do going forward?
Right.
Are you now gonna be better than that mistake? Are you gonna be the man, the Butch Forbes that I know you are?" And he just left after that, and he just made me think. And in my head, I was like, yo, powerful words, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to make a difference. So said, so done.
Okay.
Rafa, finals. Brian and Shot were playing in the finals. This match, exciting match, hot match. Now, the UMFK women's team had played their game before us, and they had won their national championship.
Oh, that's the female equivalent of your team at your school.
Exactly. Definitely,
Okay.
which is a very successful program. I must add. Big up UMFK women's team. So they won their national championship. So they were on the sideline cheering us on.
Right, right.
We got fans, family, friends from all over the world come to watch us play. So it's again, Brian and Shatton, it's a dog eat dog world. We're out there about 20 minutes into the first half. We conceded a foul about 30 yards out of from the goal, right? One of our top strikers, Willie, conceded. He made the foul. He got a yellow card for the foul. I made my wall as a goalkeeper. You know, you make your wall. I
Right,
made my
right.
wall, and then the ref said, "Wait on the whistle." But before the whistle blew, the guy was running up to kick, and Willie jumped out of the wall to defend. And the
Right.
ref gave him another yellow card. So two yellow cards in 1 minute. So Willie got a red card. So Willie's out.
So your
So
team is down to
man,
10.
we're down to 10, 20 minutes into the first half.
Wow.
Yo, we're under pressure. So what I did, I pulled one of my defensive midfielders and have him play a deeper role. And we just play with one defensive person in the middle. And we just pull a striker and have the striker sit. And we just defend. We defend the first half. We really defend. We went into defensive mode. And we held it 0-0. And the rain's pouring. Picture this. Gloomy sky, rain pouring, stadium lights, turf is wet. It's a dog. Everybody is dirty. Everybody is messy. Dog eat dog. It's a
Muddy
dog fight
situation.
out there. Oh my, tackles left, right, and center. Dirty stuff. But this is exciting for me. This is how you know who the true players, who the true stars are. You know what I mean? So nerves are steel, they call it. So we're down 10 men. Boom, halftime. Coach give us a talk in halftime, and coach say, "Hey, go out there and execute the game plan. Just execute the game plan and do not stray from the game plan." So said, so done. We went back out there. We're still down 10 men. About 15 minutes into the second half, um, one of my old friends actually, Big 12. I think he had attended, I don't want to say incorrect. I think he attended Excelsior High in Jamaica, but he's definitely familiar with a few of the national programs in Jamaica. And he
Okay.
did represent Jamaica a number of times, I believe, on the youth level, I believe.
Oh, he's playing on the opposite team.
Right, on the Brandon Shotton team. He was given a second yellow. He was carded once for a foul, then he was given a second yellow card for diving in the box. So he got a red card.
Oh,
So
so you're
both teams are down.
down to 10 now. So things
Both
balance back
teams
now.
balance out now. So problem now. So UMFK and the attack, and now we have like we have players from Jamaica, Scotland, England, South Africa, and it's just a messy situation out there, Rafa. Fouls, tackles, everything, right? So boom, we managed to hold it out. Each team managed to hold it out. They attack and we defend, and we just keep reciprocating attacks after attack after attack. Full time, 0-0. coach give us a talking at the end of the 90. Coach say, hey, I know you're tired. I know fatigue is kicking in. Just go out there, play smart, play wise. Boom. Extra time. This is Sunday extra time. At this point in time, Sunday extra time. Any team scores, that team wins. Game is
Okay, like
done.
a golden goal situation.
Golden goal situation.
Mm.
Yeah, man. So I remember deep late down like the 117 minute. A guy pick up the ball from the Brandon Shutton team about maybe 19, 20 yards out, and he beat a cracker. Boom. And I dove, and I'm telling you, man, I was beat. Lucky for me, lucky for me. I just saw the crossbar jumping like a disco, man. He hit the crossbar, I just see water splashing off the crossbar, jumping off the neck, and everybody thought it was a goal, even me. And I was surprised to see the ball shoot back out. I was like, yo, game on, defend, toughen up, nothing else, shop lock, right? Close the shop, everything locked now. So we back out there again, and we hold it out until the 128th minute. Game done. We're going into penalties, and this is exactly
Penalties.
what I want. This is exactly what I wanted. No, nobody at 14 at this point in time knows my history as it relates to soccer. For those who knew me from Munro, know that I have a tendency to excel when it comes to a penalty shootout, right? Waiting, waiting, waiting. And this is the most unusual penalty shootout that are here. Not often you hear the penalty shootout ending in a 2-1 win, right? Uh, exactly. Exactly. A penalty shootout ending in a
Either
2-1 win.
everyone missed or the keeper making some brilliant saves.
All right. So take in a story now. So Brian and Shatton went. Brian and Shatton kicked first. All right. Boom. They converted their penalty. A guy kicked the ball hard and low to the right, and I dove to the left, and I dove. Boom, and I tipped it, but it still went into the corner of the goal. And you know, something said to me from I was able to touch that one ball. I know Jamaica trouble did it. They're in trouble because I know that I'm going to save at least one. And I just keep it saying to myself, yo, just one Butch Forbes. Just one. That's all I need. Just one. Because one saving a penalty shooter can change the whole diaspora of a game completely. Right?
Right, right, right.
So they did score their first one. We got our first penalty, right? Our captain went up. At the time how this team played, our captain was our number one penalty taker. So right throughout the season, he's the only one that took our penalties.
Okay.
That is the way the coach wanted it. That is the way we played. That everybody was abided by that rule. That is how it went. Captain Skipper Ben went up. Skipper Ben took his penalty. He clipped the crossbar and went over into the trees. I
Mm.
was like, this man never miss. And out of all the time he chose to miss, it was now.
Pressure situation, you know?
Pressure, pressure, man, pressure. So Brian Ashton is now up 1-0. Man, Butch Forbes time to go back in the goal. Butch Forbes going in the goal now. Right? Me I play mind games. I stand a little bit over to one side of the goal, giving him a little extra piece at the other side of the goal. And I'm moving on the line. Boom. He run up and something just say, yo, just do it. Just go to the left. Before he even knocked the ball connected his foot. I was over there on the left side. Boom. Pick it out of the corner. Save. Very good. That was the one that I wanted. That was the one that I wanted. So I did save that one. Then UMFK went to kick again. My teammate kicked it, boom, down into the ground. The keeper made a save. So we didn't convert our other penalty. So we
So the
down.
first two kicks are two misses.
Two misses. So
So still
Brandon
still
Sutton is
1-0.
still up 1-0. So
Right.
I go back in the goal now. And I go back in the goal and this guy now, he run up. He's supposed to take his penalty for Brandon Sutton. He run up, boom, and he kick it on the left side again and I saved it again. So I was like, yo, come up, we need this one. We need this one. The keeper saved two penalty. We need to convert one. And then our defensive midfielder, Rodney Witter from Stitch, aka Ugly, as he was formerly known, from St. Elizabeth Technical. And he got there, he was a freshman that year. He was a freshman coming into the team that year. He definitely went up. He just planted the ball and calm, cool, and composed, just slotted the ball into the goal line. Nothing. 1-1. Beautiful. Right? So Brian Stratton time to kick again. And this is Brian Stratton superstar that's kicking. The star striker, most goals for Brian Stratton, most goals for the season.
Right, right.
Everybody's expecting him to score. He has a high responsibility. Everybody is done saying, yo, this is a sure goal. This is a sure goal. He run up and I remember he slammed that ball so hard to the right. And I dove off and parried the ball on the right. It's so hard he kicked that ball. When I went and parried the ball, water flashed out of the gloves, man. So wet the place was. And he's really spunked that one with venom, man. I remember that one. And I parried it. I parried it and I fell on the ball, bounced out of my hand and went and curled and spun right around the post and went out. No goal. Shocker. Real upset because now
Mm,
your keeper just saved 3 penalties in a
right.
row. No Nobody in Fort Kent has ever seen this before because people at home watching it on the live stream as well. No one
Okay.
has ever seen this before. So everybody's like, yo, we got this. We can do this. We got this. So I was like, yo, we just need one. Just need one more. So my roommate, my college roommate, Stefan Petrikovic, aka Sparky from Serbia, he came to the slot. Sparky was like a robot, fully programmed, no emotion, calm, cool, composed. He spotted the ball, the whistle blew up. Boom, he just slammed it in the back of the net. That was it. Boom. We're up 2-1.
With
Brian
one
Stratton
with
has to kick
with
out.
one kick to go.
With one kick to go for Brian Stratton.
Right,
Now,
right.
if they're able to convert this, we're going into sudden death penalties. So at this point in time, I just saved 3 in a row. I'm spent. I don't know what else to do. I don't know to dive left, to dive right, to stand still. I just don't know what to do. So I was like, I got to take the wheel. So he ran up one, it froze because I really wasn't sure what to do. He really disguised his kick and he actually kicked the ball hard and high right over my head. And he hit the crossbar, came down into the ground and went out. Ref blew off the game.
So
Fort
that
Kent
ended
win the
2-1.
national 2-1. Can you hear that? Fort Kent won the USA Division One National Championship in 2015 for the first time in 5 years.
Wow, wow.
So we
That
did bring it home. So that year, I was deemed USCAA All American, USCAA Division One Most Valuable Player, Most Valuable Keeper, and then at our sports banquet, the college had a sports banquet. I was deemed Male Athlete of the Year actually that year in 2015.
mm.
So that was no small accomplishment for a sophomore at that point in time.
So that must have been was that the high point of your college football career, so to speak, or
I
did
definitely
the
would say
other
that was
years manage to top that feat?
that to me that year was the peak of success in my football year because that was the year that we really took it home. We really took it home. And the following year, 2016, we actually won that year as well. In the
Okay, so
same
you
penalty
won back to back.
shootout, back to back. First team to do that. First team to do that with the likes of other Munro College individuals such as Mark Parchment, who was a member of
Okay.
the winning team in 2016. Yeah.
Oh, at
So
that
that
time
was
he was
me.
a freshman.
At that time, I think he was attending the University of West Indies, and then he transferred to Maine.
Oh, okay, got you, got you, got you.
Right. So he was able to maneuver himself into the starting team by mid-season
Mm.
to show you the quality, to show you the quality that we have here. You
Right, right,
understand?
right, right. So
So,
fast forward for us then, Forbes. Your final year now. How did things pan out? Or things just
so
carried on as per usual?
my final year, soccer-wise, we actually went to the national championship, but we did matriculate to the finals. We came third that year. We actually
Okay.
came third. We got beat by Florida National, I believe. Yeah. And so my two championship years were 2015 and 2016. And throughout the years, um, I I'm one of the most decorated goalkeepers to pass through the university. I mean, Fort Kent having had um USCA Division One All American, two-time All American, two-time national champion, MVP, MVK, Male Athlete of the Year 2015, 2016, Goalkeeper of the Week, NAIA Honorable Mention. Well decorated as it relates to my soccer career at the University of Maine, Fort Kent. I have a very high save percentage, very high starting rate percentage because at this time I'm a 4-year starter.
Right, right, right.
Not many people can say that as a goalkeeper. You understand? So well accomplished, and it wasn't easy, but I didn't do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I have to give a lot of shout out to my coach, my teammates, my parents, my brother, and all the people who helped me in my academics, my supervisor who was willing to work alongside me to facilitate me having to travel so often to play soccer and help me to keep up academically. So a lot of people to give shout out to.
So coming to the end of your time in college, were there any thoughts of going professional?
For sure, for sure. I still had thoughts of going professional. Actually, I went to play um uh semi-professional league down in Portland, Maine for a team Seacoast United. I spent what was it, 1 season down at Seacoast United, and then when I left Maine, I moved back to Florida, and I spent 2 years at Inter Florida FC, where Coach Valne Brown was the head coach, who had been introduced to a couple of years before, having played at the All Schools tournament in Fort Lauderdale. So I did
Right.
represent Inter Florida FC, but after that, life and work kind of took over. So
Mm,
soccer wise, I didn't really go much further than that.
okay.
If I'm being
So,
honest.
so pretty much once college was finished, you did a few stints semi-professionally. And so in terms of, so pretty much it was work thereafter. You went into the working world.
Yeah, I really had to get my foot into the working world and experience nursing because, as I said, I have my Bachelor of Science in nursing. So I really had to get my foot into that degree and see what it's been like. And I'm happy for me. I say I love it. I love it so far.
Well, we're coming to the end of the story, Butch, but is there any advice you can give to any youngster who may be listening at this time?
For sure, for sure. I'd say soccer and skills will never leave. But you see, you only have limited opportunity to get an education. So do your best to focus on your education, get educated, get a degree, get a skill, get something that you can fall back on in the event you're not able to go as far as you would like in the soccer world. You'll have your education because no one can take your education from you. Your education is there permanently and you can use it throughout your life and you can add on to it, right? You'll always have your education. So get educated, get a degree, be smart, make a wise decision. Stay out of trouble, avoid drugs, avoid jails, just stay out of trouble. Focus on the important things in life. Focus on your career, focus on your family, focus on the things that really and truly make you happy.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers. I'd just like to thank Butch Forbes for coming through and definitely sharing his story. I hope that
Yeah,
viewers
man.
looking on this will act as a motivation and a catalyst and, just advice to those who may be looking on and youngsters who may be looking to pursue their dreams in football and also in their academics. So, Butch Forbes, thank you again for coming through.
Much respect, Rafa, much respect. Viewers and subscribers, respect, man, and thank you for tuning in. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come onto the podcast and speak my truth, man. And just want to say thank you for everybody who had to play a part in my success, whether I was able to mention you in this story or not. You and I know both know you had a part to do. From teachers, coaches, family members, big, big, big respect to my mom, my dad, my brother, my colleagues, my friends, my teammates, and so on. And thank for all the encouragement and much respect again to my parents who were a driving force for my success, and my brother who taught me everything I know as it relates to the basics of football. So much respect to everyone. Everybody who had a part today. Too many names to call. But big up everybody saying we are thank you.
Yes, definitely, Butch. We see that you're definitely, very appreciative of all the persons who played a significant or insignificant role, but they played some role in terms
Yeah,
of your
man.
progress, your story, and just your journey overall. So, I'm sure they're definitely appreciative of the shout out, those who, got their names called and those who on the list, but the names are so many that
Yeah, man.
it's a very long list to remember everyone's name,
Very
but
lengthy.
I can definitely see that the appreciation runs far and it runs deep. But viewers and subscribers, there you have it,
Real,
the
real, man.
story of Butch Forbes. Thank you again for tuning to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, this is Rafa signing off.